Brothers and sisters, here I am, get myself together in front of you, trying to straighten my tie and everything. I want to be right and exact. I wasn't really prepared for the show to start, but they got me on. So definitely, certainly, the power of a united black front is what we're talking about today. And I just want to thank you all for your support and everything that you do for me and the sister. And I want to let you know that I'm very thankful for you all taking the time to listen to the show and hear what I have to say, and just understand that I'm everything that I do, trying to do it for us, and I'm trying to do it for God. Everything that I can do for Black people across the nation. And I want to take time out now to apologize to you for my appearance, in the sense that I had not shaved for a third time. So this right here is a 4 o'clock shadow, brothers and sisters, and we'll eventually be gotten rid of, but didn't have a chance to do it because we've been running, and it's the one day that we get a chance to serve like we really would like to serve and to push the information out. So, brothers and sisters, I want you to know that we have a lot of advantage today. You and I have so much advantage today, and that advantage that we have is the fact that we're Black. And I want you to understand this. And I know I say it a lot, and every so often you hear me say it, maybe numerous times within the same setting. But what I mean by that is that your population, your color gives you an advantage. Same way that, or can give you an advantage, or is an advantage. Same way that the white man's face, color, and his system that are white gives him an advantage. That if you got all white, then you'll be all right. So I want you to understand that. Same thing with us. If we're all Black, right, we're all intact. If we're all Black, so we can help one another. Being the color that we are, we can help one another. We are able to deliver one another, and you have to understand that. I want us to really, really understand where we're going with this, because we have to be able to understand it, right, in order to understand where I'm coming from. And if you haven't been there, then you don't know where I'm coming from. But the fact that we're all Black, the fact that we have something in common, that being the enemy in front of us, we have a common enemy, and the tactics of the enemy are familiar with us. So we know at least 60% of us, 60% of us know how to dodge some things that are coming before us, because our discernment, which is our God power, helps us to do that. And this is very important for you to know. The elderly people, the old people, right? Our ancestors will talk about discernment. The white man called them the witch doctor. They weren't witches. They were doctors, but they weren't witches, because these individuals understood nature. Our ancestors understood nature. Plants, living things. Isn't that right? And it's impossible for the white man to understand that, because he only have knowledge of stone. And when we lived in the forest, lived in trees, isn't that right? Lived in domains made of trees, right? And as time progressed, we became excellent craftsmen in this tree-type building. Even if we build stone, the inner line of it was with trees, because we knew it was healthier for us to be in touch, right? In touch, that means to actually be involved with nature, the very thing that we come from. What I want you to know is that the white man, the only thing that he really knows is stone. Even his tools have been made of stone. His houses are made of stone. And even today, when you search that man, and you'll find out that he's still a man of stone. And it's no different for us, no different than us today. We're still living in trees. We may not be living in them per se, as far as a location in an actual tree, right? But we're still living in trees, because our homes and everything is made of wood. Isn't that right? And though it may be in so many instances, plated with brick. The inner part of the domain is still wood and wood relevant. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. And so we find that there's nothing new under the sun. What is, has been, and what has been shall be. Isn't that right? So, brothers and sisters, we have to understand that at one time we were on top. At one time we were not slaves, but we were kings, emperors. Isn't that right? Emperors of emperors. Isn't that right? And the earliest form of our existence, which came from Haile Selassie, family in his gene pool, comes from afar Africa, that far back. And Addis Ababa, or Addis Ababa, which is Ethiopia, was the central area of civilization. The central area of civilization where the first creation of mankind came. The very first creation. And in the light that this was the very first creation, I want you to understand that we as a power, it was a power. We were as a power there. Peace and greetings, brother. Salam alaikum. Glad to have you here. So glad to have you here with us. And peace be unto you. And so we were the number one population there. Number one population. And being this number one population, we had an amazing network. And you have to get inside of that mindset because, and it's important for us to tell you, because so many are under the miseducation that we were slaves. Blacks are not slaves. We are not inferior people. As a matter of fact, from us, you'll see spaceships of 300,000 years ago. You'll see spaceships 500,000 years ago. You'll see a airplane of about 800 million years ago. And it's literally, you can see that it's a plane. There were other inventions too, such as helium balloons, right? And the use of helium that would take us all the way into space. So they were able to capture helium using plutonium and things of that nature, things that were strong, right? They mastered the art of glass, right? And use it for solar power and all of that. So we'll see that there's nothing new. But and I'm going back because I want you to have understanding. I want you to have understanding that we were united before. We were united before. And the only reason that we're not united now is that an enemy came in. Isn't that right? We probably brought him. You know how we are. We're loving people. We're affectionate people. Right? We love everybody. And that hasn't changed. That's part of our nature. Just part of our nature is the nature of God to love. Isn't that right? It says, by love, all men should know that you are my, what? Disciples. So love is an identifier with God. It's a God identifier. And so, brothers and sisters, we brought these individuals in when they were the His Coast, right? The His Coast, we brought them in, or the His Coast, we brought them in to our civilization, tame civilization. And when we found these people, they were still walking around on all fours, still crawling around on all fours, without pedicures, without manicures. They didn't have intelligence, didn't know how to read, didn't know how to write or anything like that. And it's important for us to tell you, we have to keep reminding you of this, right? And taking you back, because if we don't take you back, then you won't know that the white man is the devil, right? You won't know that he hasn't changed in over 10.7 to 1.3 million, rather 10.3 to 1.7 million years ago. He hasn't changed. From 1.7 million years ago all the way to about 7,000 years ago, this man hasn't changed. He's been the same way. He's still killing you and I. Isn't that right? He's still committing the sins of Cain. Isn't that right? Killing Abel. Isn't that right? And Abel is killing Cain every day. It's not just a story that happened just once. This is your heritage, brothers and sisters. This is your heritage from the envy of one toward the other. Isn't that right? So you have to understand that. I want you to understand, and I want you to get in the mindset that the white man had nothing in common with you. shall ever be your enemy, because it's the difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. We talked about that. Matter of fact, in the last two shows, we put it in the comment section that there's a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. And you have to know that the one, right, the prokaryotic cell is dominant, and the eukaryotic cell is less dominant. Is that right? And I just want you to know, because it's important for us to talk about it. A lot of us won't remember the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. But I want us to go over that just very quickly, so you will know. That you and I are in a superior cell fighting an inferior cell. That's what you have to know. And in knowing that, you have to know that there's a constant struggle, constant war that is pointed out between these two genetic pools. You have to understand that these all life on Earth consists of either the eukaryotic cell or the prokaryotic cell. I just want you to know that, because we got to build a foundation before you can understand why we have no alternative than to come together, brothers and sisters. The prokaryotes, I'm going to call them that, were the first form of life, right? And scientists believe that the eukaryotic lives, or the eukaryotes, evolved from the prokaryotes around 2.7 billion years ago. And you have to understand that. Now, I want to tell you that the aggressive cell is the oldest cell. And there's some things that the white man has got wrong in his science. He didn't get it wrong by accident. He got it wrong on purpose. You have to understand that. Cells are divided into two main classes. Initially, they're defined by whether they can contain a nucleus, right? And what's so important about that? Prokaryotic cellular structure, brothers and sisters, lack a nuclear envelope, so to speak, or a eukaryotic cell. Now, and the eukaryotic cell has a nucleus and also a genetic material that is separated by cytoplasm. Now, and I'm going to make this all plain, because cytoplasm is nothing more than a certain classification of lipid, or what we call tissue, right? Organized tissue. And so this prokaryotic cell are generally smaller and simpler than eukaryotic cell, right? In other words, they're inferior. Now, it's my belief that the eukaryotic cell was the first cell. Not only because the white man said so, but because the first part of anything that's created is more sophisticated than the latter part. For instance, if you take man and woman and put food in them, right? Allow them to eat. When they defecate it, that's a result of the food, but it's been processed by a highly intelligent, what do you call it? A digestive system. Isn't that right? And that is a result of it. So anything that is first would have to be more intelligent, and it can leave behind the result of its intelligence, but it itself is more intelligent. You take man and a woman, when they're coming together to produce a child, this coming from an intelligent genetic structure, very intelligent genetic structure, and spiritual at the consummation. So what it produced is a result of those things coming together. So the formation of man and woman biologically is very, very complex. Very complex. But when they come together naturally to produce, then the scientific result is a child. So you know, that's the argument. I believe the prokaryotic cell is older, or rather, the eukaryotic cell is older than the prokaryotic cell because it's more dominant. So in addition to the absence of the nucleus, the genomes are less complex and they do not contain cytoplasm or cytoskeletal, right? Talking about bone structure. Okay. In spite of these differences, the same basic molecular mechanism given to the lives of both the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell, indicating that all present-day cells are descended from a singular primordial ancestor. That's what we're getting from. Now, how did the first cell develop? That's the question. And how did the complexity and diversity exhibited by present-day cells evolve? So the eukaryotic cell, which I consider the oldest, and I say that for two reasons. The white man said that the prokaryotic cell is the oldest. And I find that very difficult because it wasn't complex, it wasn't intelligent. For man, we can come from a higher nature to a lower nature, which a lower nature is less intelligent. But it's impossible to go from a lower nature to a higher nature unless that higher nature has produced a mimic, right? And the mimic or the reproduction or the carbon copy and growing up become equal to the cellular structure that created it, it being male or female. Okay, so that's very important. Now, we're talking about inferiority and superiority for the simple reason that we face racism in America, and the science that backs that up is the science of eugenics, brothers and sisters. Okay, and so we have to ask ourselves, what is eugenics? Eugenics is nothing more than a racist scientific research geared to make white people superior. Okay, now who wrote this research? See, because a lot of us probably don't even know about eugenics, but eugenics is very much real. Very much real. When you talk about eukaryotic, prokaryotic cell, the person that wrote the lie of eugenics used eukaryotic study, right? So that something is common, something is docile, something is unintelligent, non-aggressive, right? But it could produce something progressive. Now, what they do is, or what they have done is, they've ended up walking themselves around in a circle, and in each level of it, they'll tell you that the black man is superior. So they fight hard to say that he's not, because their research still leads them to the same thing: superiority. Right? There's no way that something can be superior coming from something inferior. There's just no way. There's no way. And so what he tried to do was trade places with us in nature to make himself seem superior, right? By using this selection, right? Right? The process of selection. You have to understand that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about scientific selection, right? We're going to talk about it because that's something that a lot of our brothers and sisters don't concentrate on. We gotta understand. We gotta understand what the white man is doing when he write his science. We gotta understand that. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. We gotta understand what he's doing when he write his science. When he write his science, he writing a science to keep him superior. That's what he's doing when he writes a science. And just by understanding that, you should get an understanding of what eugenics really is. You should get an understanding of it because, and it's important that you study how it's arranged, because if you don't, you won't understand, right, what the white man is doing. I want you to understand, brothers and sisters, that his history don't involve you. His math don't involve you. His surgery don't involve you. We know on the back end, you're the one training him to do it because he didn't know nothing about it. He was still crawling around on all fours when he was in that cave. Is that right or wrong? So we know on the back end, right, it was all you. But on the front end, which is the knowledge, he's preparing a second way to degrade you with his knowledge. Now, I want you to listen. The study of how to arrange reproduction within a human population to increase the occurrence of the heritage characteristics regarded as desirable. This is what the white man is trying to do. He's trying to study on how to arrange. Listen, he's fighting the intelligence that said black people are superior because they were the first, right? And what was produced from them is a result of superiority. But the white man don't want to accept that because of the teachings of eugenics, right? Eugenics is a simple term. I want to tell you what it is because it's very simple. When you say eugenics, it's a scientific, erroneous, and immoral theory of racial improvement and planned breeding. It's gained its popularities in the early 20th century. Why in the 20th century? After we came out of the war, right? After we came out of slavery, he had to hold it because everything was out, right? Everything fell. When the system of slavery fell, everything fell. So he had to grab and reach on to something. This is where you get the Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, and all these other white supremacist groups. So it gained its popularity in the 20s. This is eugenics. Remember, eugenics is scientifically erroneous and an immoral theory of racial improvement and planned breeding, right? It was started, it gained popularity, it gained steam in the early 20th century. The eugenicists worldwide believed that they could perfect human beings and eliminate so-called social ills through genetic heredity. Now, why would the white man want to experiment in test tubes? You have to ask yourself that question. Why would he want to do this? Why is it important for him to put the science of eugenics up against you and I? Why is it so important for him to create this special race, intelligent people? Who else did you see do this down in history? You saw Hitler do it. You saw Herod do it. All of these people down through history, right? You saw Alexandria, the rest of them were trying to do it. They wanted to have a class of people who were the most intelligent of their race. They want to have a class of people, more intelligent of their race. And this is where you get blonde hair, blue eyes, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes, according to eugenics, is more developed than brown hair, brown eyes, right? And the brown hair, blue eyes is more intelligent and developed than the brown hair, brown eyes. Is that right? And the brown hair, gray eyes is more intelligent and adapted than the brown hair, blue eye. Isn't that right? Because anything closer to whiteness will be considered an intelligent creation, more intelligent than the last. So it's more important that you remember that. Now, why am I talking about this eugenics and unity of white people and how they were dominant? Why am I talking about all that? Right? How they appear to be dominant. Well, because scientifically, psychologically, spiritually, mentally, biologically, these people are inferior to us. In slavery, in bondage, we were creating machines and materials. We were still performing miracles in slavery. Why is that? The white man came to us to learn how to map, to properly map, even when he thought the world was flat and we knew the world was round. The white man was coming to us to get directions on selling, where he could sell as an individual, right? Where he could go and explore. The white man was getting the knowledge from us to go and do these things. Why? Because black men had been all around the world. The white man knew that. Everywhere he went, there was black people. Black people were map makers. Isn't that right? So we already knew. We knew the arts and sciences, right? We knew the arts of medicine. We knew all of these things. Why am I saying this? I'm reminding you because in your God self, you know this. In you is the design that tells you this, that would denote this within you. But when you were brought in bondage, you were disconnected from your higher self. When the white man came inside of your community, when he invaded Africa, he separated you from the knowledge of self. And the way that he could do that is he took many generations and brought them away from Africa. And those that he didn't move, he put them in colonialism. And it was a sin for you and I to become familiar with the trees, to become one with nature and all of that. These things he outlawed, brothers and sisters. So we find ourselves in this country like many others along the diaspora, right? That was separated by the white Spanish, separated by the white German. Notice I said white because they're black. The originals are black. Separated from the blacks, rather separated by the white Spaniards, separated by the white French, right? Separated by the white Russian, the white Japanese, white Chinese, the white India, so on and so forth. You were separated all around the globe from your people, from the nature, from the teachings. And these people that lorded over you had impressed upon you to take on their ways. And brothers and sisters, that's what we did. We took on their ways the same way we took on their names. Isn't it right? We didn't ask for it. They forced it on us, right? When they took us in slavery, they forced us to take their names, forced us to take their ways. They did it. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. They did it. Isn't that right? Huh? So when they did this, it separated us from the knowledge of ourselves, the God of ourselves, the understanding of our forefathers. When you talk about Adam, you're talking about us. When you talk about Abraham, Isaac, you're talking about us. Isn't that right? You talk about Jacob, who was a trickster. He was us, but he went to do evil things. You couldn't trust him. He was tricked. He had too much trickery. And he aligned himself with the children of Cain, right, who were killers, right, who were defilers, who was heathens. And once he aligned himself with those people, then they made it, and he decided to splice the gene pool. So you had one that was following the knowledge of God, and you had one that was following a satanic worship, satanic ritual, right? Isn't that right? And this is why he is known as the trickster. We don't know much about Esau, except that he's a great huntsman. The white man kept it from you, and I find that suspect. But Esau was a great huntsman. We know that his father did love him. He had his father's approval. But we know that enmity was put between Jacob and his father by the mother. And you know how women are, brothers and sisters. Nothing has changed. Don't read the Bible just to think that you have escaped, or those people have escaped what you and I are going through today. Brothers and sisters, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. This is not true. But we have to understand that all of those that were guided by Satan were influenced also by an ungodly woman spirit. Ungodly, because a godly woman submits. Ungodly woman doesn't submit. And so ungodly women will embolden their children, often many times, to make bad decisions. All because they're emotional beings, and if they get caught up in their emotions, then their emotions can also cause them to sin. And you have to understand that the white man uses the black woman, because that's who I'm talking about, right? I'm not concerned about the white woman. I'm talking about the black woman. That the white man will use the black woman against the brothers, right, to break him down. And he will even subsidize her. Is that right? He'll give her a house. He'll give her food. He'll give her a car, right? Place for kids to stay. Isn't that right? He'll even give her Section 8. Isn't that right? But he does this not out of love and respect for the woman, right? Which is a prize of the black man's eye. He does it so he can separate the black woman from the black man. He'll say, look, I'll give you all these things as long as you stay away from that black man. He can't come in the house. He can't be around you. He can't do anything. And you can have all of this stuff. Isn't that like what Jesus went through? He said, all of these things I'll give you if you fall down and worship me. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? And those sisters that are not strong will follow teachings of the enemy. My God, sisters and brothers, never follow any enemy's word, right? Because remember, he's against you and the black woman. Black man, you don't have any friends. Black woman, you don't have any friends either. But the same God that is in all of us should teach us how to come together and reason with one another and come so close, right? As the old folks used to say, one can't fall for the other. Isn't that right? That one can't fall from the other. And so, brothers and sisters, we have to be united. We have a reason to be united because we fight a common enemy. The white man of this planet, right, is a common enemy. I don't care if you're in America. I don't care if you're in Ghana. I don't care if you're in India. I don't care if you're in Japan. I don't care if you're in Russia or wherever you may be, South America, Haiti. It doesn't matter where you are, Canada. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I want you to understand that we have the same enemy, you and I. It doesn't matter whether you're in America or in England. We have the same enemy, and we're being killed by the same enemy that's taking us out every day. We just lost our sister, Ava Muhammad. Is that right or wrong? I said we just lost her, brothers and sisters. Just lost our sister Ava Muhammad. We just lost her. Our sister, I believe, was poisoned by the powers that be. And brothers and sisters, you better believe that it was some misguided brothers and sisters that did it. Same way when Dr. Khalid was assassinated with poison, the same misguided brothers and sisters made that happen. I want you to understand that Albert Queege, who made the Shrine of the Black Madonna, he himself, another leader for the people. All of these people I'm naming are leaders for the people. He was poisoned February of 2000. Is that right or wrong? I want you to understand that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was poisoned. Even Minister Farrakhan admits to that. They poisoned him through cortisone treatment and things of that nature. And so the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his life, his physical life was ended because we know that was just the body. We know that was just the body. We already know. But his physical life was ended, brothers and sisters. His physical life was ended. But nonetheless, he was one with the Father because he believed in loving black people and serving God. Is that right or wrong? Is that right or wrong? So it doesn't matter, brothers and sisters, whether you pray here or whether you pray here or whether you pray here. It doesn't matter. The main thing is that you're one with God. Now, who is God? Brothers and sisters, there's no mystery God. There's no mystery God. I want you to understand that we are God, we belong to God, and we are a part of God. I want you to understand that. Jesus said in John 10:30, I and my Father are one, in that I do the will of my Father. Well, brothers and sisters, Jesus said, if I've done these things, you being my brothers, you shall do greater things. Who is he talking about? The Spirit from within. Brothers and sisters, we've got to be connected and we've got to be united, right? Connected and united to speak truth and do truth, right? That the truth will be revealed to us and that all flesh will see it together. Well, brothers and sisters, how can all flesh see it together unless we're united? You and I have to be united. Isn't that right? And so and there's a reason why. Sister Ava told us, didn't she? Sister Ava told us, right? She said that the reason why we need to be united is that the white man is killing us, that I don't want to live amongst a murderous beast like the white man. Isn't that right? In the last speech that she made, I don't want to be around this white man, right? Because she was talking black nationalism, brothers and sisters. Black power. Black power and black nationalism is the reason that you and I must be united, brothers and sisters. When you look at the freedom that happened in Africa, the freedom that happened in Asia, the freedom that happened in Saudi Arabia, and freedom that happened in certain parts of Europe, Germany, and places like that, the freedom that happened there didn't happen through waiting in, it didn't happen through sitting in, it didn't happen through standing in, it didn't happen through marching in. Isn't that right? But the way that we got there wasn't even from being a political football. The way that we got there is through nationalism. We stood together and we demanded the rights. Isn't that right? We stood together. We didn't inflict anything that the individual didn't inflict on us, but we stayed together. And that's the key thing. We've got to unite. We've got to stay together because the white man, when he kills us, he's not thinking about religion. When he kills us, he's not thinking about what your profession is. When he kills us, he really doesn't care where you went to school. When the white man kills you, he's killing you because you're a nigga. I hope I can say that. Don't mean any harm, but I hope I can say it, because that's the reason why he's killing you. Thank you, brother. He's killing you and I because we're black. That is the reason that he is killing us, that you and I are black. And if we're black, brothers and sisters, then that means we're non-white. And if we're non-white, that means we're an enemy to the white man. And he understands it. Excuse me. He understands it. The only people that don't understand it is you and I. Thank you, brother. The only one that don't understand it is you and I. We don't understand it. The white man knows what's going on. He knows why he's here. He knows what he's here to do. He understands all of it. The only people that don't understand it is us. We don't understand that the white man is not our friend, that we were not brought here to be equal with the white man, and he created the science of eugenics to make sure that we understood that the white man is superior to us in his own land. Not that this is his physical land, but through war and through conquest, he took it over. And so now you and I have to say, and we have to accept, we have to understand that this world, this nation has been conquered by the white man. Well, brothers and sisters, the white man is losing power, and we can gain control of this nation again. I have you to know that every black man here were not slaves. Every black man here was not in bondage, brothers and sisters. Every black man here was not brought in chains, while you had black Native Americans, which were African Native American, right? African Native Americans, which is Anam. You had many races of Anam that were here. Some were Blackfoot, some were Cherokee, some were Apache, some were Creek Indian, some were Parks. Isn't that right? All of these are Indian names. All of these are Indian names. And so you had Native Americans that were here who were also visiting Africans who were coming here. It was the African that had showed them the short portal and the stream that would get them here from Africa to America in a matter of weeks, whereas it had been taking the white man so many months to do it. Don't you know that everything that this man has, he has it because of us, brothers and sisters? He has it because of us. And we've got to be wise, we've got to be steadfast, we've got to be unmovable, and always abounding in the work that is found. Isn't that right? The work that is found before us that God has set out to us, brothers and sisters. And this is important to know. Now, brothers and sisters, don't forget, it's important to remember that I said to you that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was poisoned. I want you to understand that after 1965, with the exception of the attempt on Dr. Khalid's life in 1994 by James Best, other than that, the enemy to kill somebody, he's only wanted to poison them. If you look at from Elijah Muhammad, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, all the way down to Harold Washington, all the way down to Chokwe Lumumba, you'll find out that all of them was poisoned with anthrax. And all you have to do is study to find this. I'm not telling you anything that you don't really know, but you just have to study to find it. I also want to tell you, brothers and sisters, that they did this for a reason. Because they didn't want, and it was a backfire from the assassination of Minister Malcolm in 1965, because they didn't want to classify intelligent murders. Is that right? Because they would come out and have to tell you what happened. So today what we see is, if there's any killing with gun or razor, that's a primitive murder, right? There's sophisticated murders that use poison in it, right? Don't leave a fingerprint. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and poison nobody, brothers and sisters, but I'm just telling you that that is the new form of the enemy's punishment and harassment with us for being such a great people. Isn't that something? Here the man is put you in slavery. Here the man is busting you all upside your head and busting you all upside your mouth, right, when you've done nothing to deserve it. And the man, when he tells you this, he'll get angry with people like me to put this knowledge out to you. But I tell you this knowledge because you need to know it, and I want you to understand, brothers and sisters, we're at war. I told you he poisoned the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He poisoned Dr. Ava Muhammad. This is a fact. This is a fact. So we have to be worried about anybody that called the white man their friend. You have to accept that. I'm sure you can understand why I couldn't call him a friend. I might call him an associate, but I can't call him a friend. Why not? Can't call him a friend, brothers and sisters, because the friends don't kill you. Friends don't work against you. Friends don't lie on you. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? A friend will stand closer than a brother. A friend will. So brothers and sisters, we have to be aware. We have to be steadfast. We have to be unmovable. But we've got to be aware of what's going on. When we begin to see all the things that the white man is plotting against us and how he's responding against us, then you'll look at me and I'll look at you and we'll say together in unison that the white man is the enemy. Well, brothers and sisters, since the white man has been putting us in bondage all this time, and since we've been in bondage for over 400 years, you can't deny that. And the government has certainly failed us. Brothers and sisters, at the time that we see now, the American government has become weak. It's become downtrodden, right? The government has become cast down. Then it would be only fitting for you and I as American citizens, because that's what he says we are. Well, that's what he said it. He said we're American citizens. I know that we're nothing but 21st century slaves, but the white man said we're American citizens. He told that lie. So since he told that lie, it would be fitting for us as American citizens to take commonwealth unto ourselves to update these dilapidated areas and bring life and breathe life back into them so that we can have our own black lands, have our own black farms, our own black stores, our own black banks, our own black lending institution, isn't that right? Our own families, our own invocation, our own industries, isn't that right? Everything that the white man has, that we would have it ourselves. And we've got to start from somewhere. But brothers and sisters, I just want to tell you that the investors have given up on the white man. The investors know that the white man can't do the job. He can't hold on to anything, and he's filing too much bankruptcy. So when it all falls down, if we're ready, then all of these monies and powers and investments come over to us. Why not? We're doing the work anyway. I said we're doing the work anyway, isn't that right? So brothers and sisters, we have a chance. And we are blessed, better than blessed. Isn't that right? Today, you and I, we are blessed and better than blessed today. That's you and I. That's what we are today. And what I want you to know, because it's important that you know, but what I want you to know is that we will stand in God's power. If we will stand on truth, that God himself will bless us as he turned his land back over to us and build it up into a mighty, mighty situation where we'll be able to see each other every day. Will be hiding and there'll be no more goodbye. Well, you know we can't do this amongst the white man. I said, brothers and sisters, you know we can't do this amongst the white man because the white man has already left us for dead. The white man, when he's talking about the zombie apocalypse, brothers and sisters, he's talking about you and I. When he's talking about the zombie apocalypse, he's talking about you and I. Brothers and sisters, don't forget to subscribe and like, thumbs up, please. Brothers and sisters, we can use this participation. Any comments you have, bad or good, please. We could use it. We welcome you to write it down. And we won't erase it, not one jot, not one tittle, not one iota. We won't erase it. Not one jot, not one tittle, not one iota. We won't erase it. But brothers and sisters, the thing that I'm trying to tell you is that we've got more reason to come together than we do to stay apart. And you and I just look plain crazy being a part of the Democratic Party, right? Separating ourselves from a blackness in the Republican Party. When I got sense enough to know that me and you ain't Republican, we ain't Democrat, and we ain't even American. I got sense enough to know it. Ain't that right? And I want you to have sense enough to know it. I want you to have sense enough to know that you ain't Republican, you ain't Democrat, and you ain't even American, right? I want you to have sense enough to know that because I already know it, right? And with the power that the Democrats have in office, and they've had it for over 70 to 90 years, what have you gotten, brothers and sisters? You haven't gotten anything. And it's just crazy for you to keep on identifying yourself as a Democrat. While brothers and sisters, as black people, we have the power to come together. The white man comes together in whatever his power is. And we got to come together in whatever our power is. And the good thing about it is, in black power and as black nationalists, you don't have to change anything that you're doing. I said you don't have to change anything that you're doing. You can be a black nationalist in the church. You can be a black nationalist in your political stance. You can be a black nationalist on your job. You can be a black nationalist in your home. You can be a black nationalist no matter where you are. And we need to have a black nationalist political party that we're trying to build up. But first of all, we got to come together as black people. And there's more reasons that we should come together than to keep us apart. Brothers and sisters, I told you I wasn't going to hold you long today. And I'm not, because we're going to have another show very shortly here. Very shortly, we're having a show. But I just wanted to tell you that we could certainly use your support. I want that to be plain. Don't forget what we'll be doing in Atlanta for Sister Ava Muhammad. We'll be gathering in Atlanta. I want to put that down here. The last week of September, right? The last week of September, we'll be gathering in Atlanta, Georgia. And once we gather there in Atlanta, Georgia, brothers and sisters, we will be building up, not just for our sister on the day that we've given her, right, to celebrate her rise, right, and to investigate her murder. But not only that, we'll be coming together as black nationalists, and this will be one of the annual things that we'll do. We'll begin doing, coming together as black nationalists on August the 27th. Will be our national Ava Muhammad Day, Dr. Ava Muhammad Day on August the 27th. But this particular meeting that we're coming to recognize our sister, it'll be the last week in September. And when we come together, brothers and sisters, we'll be discussing in a panel, discussing our sister. We will have local musicians performing. We will have certain private musicians performing there so that we'll be able to experience them. We're welcoming, if you know how to rap, sing, poetry, anything else you do, we'll welcome you to come during the week. But on the weekend, we'll have professional performers, right? Our talents, natural talents, black nationalist musicians that will be playing in front of us intelligent music. Intelligent music. Brothers and sisters, if you like Lauryn Hill and Alicia Keys, you don't want to miss these people that's going to be down in September, on the last week of September. You don't want to miss it. The last week of September, and it's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, brothers and sisters. The last week of September, and we'll keep you updated. The last week of September in Atlanta, Georgia, and we'll be meeting for our dear sister, Dr. Ava Muhammad. We'll be meeting for her to discuss her death, to discuss the difficulty of her leaving us. So don't forget, brothers and sisters, the last week in September, this month, the last week, we'll be meeting together for Dr. Ava Muhammad. We have much to say and much to do around that time. Brothers and sisters, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're asking you also, to please send something to our Cash App so that we can have it. And everything that you send us, we certainly use it for what we're saying that we're using it for. And we also ask you, brothers and sisters, to buy a book. You see the link up there, and you can buy a book. I want to put my email in there for you to buy a book. We certainly need your support. And maybe you'll tell someone else to support us, because it's hard to put out this truth, brothers and sisters. When you got a Muslim and black Christians coming against you all together, black Muslim, black Christian, brothers and sisters that really don't understand what our focus is. But if you look up, you'll see in our support link that we have a place where we sell books, and all you got to do is look on it. And if you look in those areas, find a book that you want, you just send it to my email address. Isn't that right? And if you send it to my email address, then I'll be able to get that out to you. We'll send it through PDF. Send it out to you, no problem, right away through PDF, so that you'll be able to have that book to read. We got a lot of great information, brothers and sisters. We got a lot of great information. And we pray, we need your help. We need your help. This thing that we're doing for Sister Ava Muhammad is very important. And we can't do it without you. Now, we've also did a show on the assassination of Dr. Ava Muhammad. I ask that you go back and watch that show. And I ask that you go back and watch it so you will have the information on it. So you'll understand exactly where we come from and where we're coming from, why we're saying this, and why we need to investigate. So that we'll make sure that we've done the best that we can by our sister and our brother. We believe the white man killed her, took her out, because she was focusing with us on black nationalism and how we should build up our own communities. We should have our own banks, our own lending institutions, our own hospitals, our own behavioral health care centers, our own car lots. Isn't that right? Our own grocery stores. Brothers and sisters, build up our own tiny houses till we can build larger houses. Isn't that right? That we can do all these things, our own gas station. Right? And we're doing these things ourselves. We can successfully boycott the white man. That's what you have to understand. The boycotts in the past were superior, and they were sufficient because we had our own stores that we could go to. We didn't have to go to the white man's stores. Right? Martin Luther King wasn't originally fighting for integration. He was fighting for a more sophisticated system of segregation. But if we don't study, brothers and sisters, we'll never know it. So please do, brothers and sisters, please support us. We need your help. And we're not begging, brothers and sisters, but we have books and we have other things that you'll be able to get as a result of you donating these things to us. So we're not begging you. We're not begging, but we want to offer you something. We're trying to barter with you the most current form of barter, which money. We're trying to do that with you and asking you to bless us, please. Don't forget to thumbs up, like, and subscribe, please. And don't forget, brothers and sisters, I'll be back at 7 o'clock to talk about that subject, to catch us up and touch a little bit more on what we'll be doing in Atlanta the last week of September. And I pray all praises be to God, all praises be to Allah. You can say Jesus Christ or whoever you want, that he will bless us in this. And we know that he can bless us, but he can't do it without you. He can't do it without you. We are the hands, feet, eyes, and the heads, bodies of God, right? And if we're there, we can do the work of God. So brothers and sisters, please support us. Buy a book from us. If you want to cash app us. And whatever you do, we'll be thankful for. And if you want that book, remember, just send me your email address to my email address, and I'll certainly give it to you. And if you get into the link that is at the very top, you'll see also how to reach us by phone and also by email. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much, and peace be unto you. If I didn't say it in the beginning, I love you very much. Tell someone else you love them, and embrace somebody you haven't spoken to in a long time. May Allah be with you. May God be with you. May Jesus be with you. May Jehovah be with you. Whatever you would like to say. And I say unto you, as I said in the beginning, I say in the end, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you.